Faith and Comics present Cain and Abel, written by Hotep Anthony, edited by Roland Broussard.
The fire crackled low between us, warmth bleeding into the cool hush of night. The fields stretched out beyond the light's reach, quiet and still beneath a canopy of stars. Nights like this had always brought me peace. The work was done, the earth rested, and for a little while, so could I. But the question came unbidden. "Father, what is that mark?" I froze. Simple words. Innocent words, but they cut deeper than he could know. And just like that, memories stirred, rising from the place I had buried them. The great sin I had committed, greater even than my father's. His disobedience had cast us from the garden. Mine had cast me from God himself. I hesitated, fought the ache in my chest, the tightening in my throat, fought the grief that never truly left me. But the dam had worn thin over the years, and my son's eyes were too much like his. So I let the memories come. Slowly, heavily, I spoke. "Your uncle," I said, my voice rough with dust and regret. "His name was Abel. He was everything I wasn't. Where I tilled the soil, broke my back beneath the sun, Abel wandered the hills, light on his feet, laughing like the world had never known hardship. A shepherd, a singer, my brother. We were born into a world still raw with punishment. The ground cursed beneath our father's feet. The gate to Eden long shut behind us. There was no easy life for the children of Adam, only work and sweat and struggle. But Abel moved like he didn't belong to this earth at all. I still remember him on the ridge at dawn, outlined against the sky, staff across his shoulders, whistling to the sheep that adored him. He had a way of speaking to them, patient, soft, a way I could never quite find with the soil. Father always said, we each had our gifts, but heaven seemed to favor his. It was in our offerings that the space between us grew, small at first, a word here, a glance there. My harvest laid bare before the altar, hard-won carved from a ground that hated me. His lamb beside it, perfect, without blemish. And when the heavenly smoke rose from his sacrifice, when mine withered low into the dirt, that was the first time I felt it. That heat beneath my ribs, that gnawing thing with teeth. Shame, envy, fury. It wasn't fair. I worked. I bled. Wasn't that enough? But God, no. God looked on Abel with favor, and on me with silence. That silence was worse than any curse, and still, Abel would smile at me, never once seeing the storm building beneath my skin, never once hearing the cracking of a soul stretched thin, until the day I asked him to walk with me into the field. The grass whispered against our ankles as we walked. Late afternoon, the sky was low and golden, clouds stretched thin like old cloth. Abel carried his staff loosely, letting it swing with each step, his voice light as he spoke of some dream he'd had, something about stars and rivers and the laughter of sheep. I barely heard him. Each word passed through me like wind through dead branches. I had asked him to come, told him I wanted to speak, and he came without hesitation, because he was like that, trusting, open. Of course he came. We crested a small rise, the field spreading out before us, tall wheat swaying gently in the wind, the colour of old bone. No one around, no sound but the hush of wind and Abel's careless humming. I stopped. He didn't notice at first. "Abel?" I said. He turned, smiling. "Yes, brother?" There it was again. That smile. No fear, no suspicion, just love. Unquestioning. Why didn't he question me? If he was so favoured, if God loved him so much, why didn't anyone stop me? Why didn't the sky thunder? Or a voice cry out from the heavens? Why didn't a single angel descend with a flaming sword to say no? But the wind just rustled the wheat, and Abel stood there, waiting for me to speak.
"Do you ever wonder why he listens to you and not to me?"
I asked, my voice tight, cracked at the edges. Abel tilted his head, confused. "He listens to both of us, Cain." I laughed then, short and bitter. "No, brother. He doesn't." He stepped closer. "You're wrong. Maybe it's just the offering. It's always the offering," I snapped, my hand curling into a fist at my side. "The sheep, the blood. You give him something living and he gives you his favor like it's nothing. I spend seasons breaking my back over dry earth, begging it to yield something, anything, but it's never enough, is it? Abel's face softened, and that hurt the most. Pity. He pitied me. He reached out to place a hand on my shoulder, and for a second, for the barest moment, I thought I wouldn't do it. But then, my hand found the stone. Just there, half buried in the earth between us. Smooth, heavy, cold. I barely remember bending to snatch it up. Only the weight of it in my palm. Solid. Final. And then I struck. The rock caught him above the temple. A dull, sickening crack that seemed to echo through my very bones. He staggered, his knees buckled. I brought the stone down again. Once, twice. The sound it made, wet, fragile, like clay shattering. Blood spilled warm across my hands, slick and fast, mixing with the dust beneath us. His body convulsed, spasmed, and then stilled. But I didn't stop. Not at first. Something in me broke with him. When at last I fell back, chest heaving, hands shaking, there was no voice from heaven, no fire, no judgment, no hand to stay mine. Just silence, just blood pooling dark around my feet. And Abel, my brother, face turned toward the sky he would never see again. And I was alone. I don't remember how long I sat there. Long enough for the blood to dry tacky against my skin. Long enough for the sun to sink low and the shadows to stretch long across the field. I buried him. Clumsy hands, trembling hands, scraping at the earth, cursing it as I dug, as if it would swallow him and my sin whole. But the ground fought me. The same cursed earth I'd laboured over all my life now resisted me in death. It refused to be my accomplice. And when it was done, when Abel's body was hidden beneath that thin layer of dirt and stone, I sat there staring at the broken soil, my hands filthy, red beneath my fingernails. But still, no voice, no fire, no judgment. Not until I rose to leave. Cain. The voice was not thunder, not wind. It was quiet, and it was everywhere.
Where is your brother?
I stood frozen, my mouth opened. The words came hollow, bitter from the start. I do not know. My throat burned. Am I my brother's keeper? Silence. Then, what have you done? Not accusation. Grief. That was what undid me. Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. And I could hear it then, or maybe only in my soul. The sound of something eternal weeping beneath my feet.
The ground will no longer yield for you, Cain. You will be a wanderer, a fugitive upon the earth.
And suddenly, I was just a man again. Small, terrified. But Lord, if I am cast out, anyone who finds me will kill me. I waited for indifference, but he marked me instead. I do not know if it was mercy or punishment, perhaps both. His mark burned against my forehead, not in pain, but in permanence. A warning, a curse, a shield. I would walk this earth forever known, forever alone. The fire between us had burned low.
My son sat wide-eyed, silent, and the weight of my story settling over him like ash.
I looked at him, at his small hands unbloodied, unbroken. That, I said quietly, touching the mark above my brow, is why I bear this. He swallowed. Do you miss him? I looked past the fire, past the fields, past the years. Every day. The wind moved through the grass, soft, restless. But I learned too late. I met his eyes, my son, the future I did not deserve. Envy will hollow you out long before judgment ever comes. Guard your heart, my son. Guard it well.